Assumption Abbey had its beginning in 1950. For 25 years, we supported ourselves with a concrete block factory. Later, there was recession and competition, and we had to get out of that business. There was a lady she was the wife of the Episcopal pastor in St. Louis at the time. And she knew a French chef who had been the pastry chef for Charles de Gaulle. But he had some fruitcake recipes, and two we liked best. We kind of blended the recipe together to what we have now. So now we've been making fruitcakes over 30 years.
We bake 6 days a week, from Monday to Saturday. So we normally bake about 125 or 126. So within a year, we bake about 30,000. And our cakes always sold out every year.
It's a very fruit-centric recipe. There's probably a little more fruit than batter. In each batch, there's a mixture of 3 kinds of raisins: pineapple, cherries, lemon peel, orange peel, and that's soaked in about 4 gallons of Burgundy wine. And that soaks for about 2 weeks before it actually goes into the batter.
Right after Mass, we start preparing the ingredients for the cake itself. Once the batter is made, and then we just start scooping and weighing, and then put it in the oven for about 2 hours. And then what we bake today will be decorated tomorrow. They inject it with rum. It's a 40% alcohol, so it's 80% proof. Each cake received 32 milliliter. Some people would even like a double injection. They will order specifically a double injection. They will inject it first, they'll coat it with corn syrup, and then put the cherries and pecans. Then once they put it, then they will put again a syrup on top of its pecans and the cherries. So they will put a syrup on it, kind of make it kind of shiny. And once they finish decorating, and they will wrap it with a sealer.
And then it's packaged and set on the shelf to age for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Most of our time through the year is spent just building inventory in the warehouse and aging it. We sell a few cakes every day, gets shipped out. But in October through December, it gets very, very busy. Somewhere around Thanksgiving up to Christmas, we may be shipping 1,000 boxes a day. It's still a popular item in the holidays. So probably over 90% of our inventory is shipped out during those 3 months.
It's a very lucrative business that it can support our community and allows us also to help people, especially around our area. We don't come here just to work. We don't join the monastery just to work. Work is for our self-sustenance. It's a way of life. So there's an integration between work and prayer. That's the motto of Saint Benedict. Work and pray. Ora et labora. We pray in the bakery. We stop also. So we never neglected our prayer. We pray 7 times a day. The atmosphere in the bakery is very good because it's very quiet. It's very conducive to solitude and silence and prayer. And also the fruitcake is very light work, and so it allows you to think of spiritual things, kind of meditate while working. And that, for me, that's a very rewarding to be able to think of things that are above. So we work and we pray. That's our way of life.
The history of the corncob pipe starts right here in Washington. The legend is that either a trapper or a farmer came down the river or up the river and had been making his own corncob pipes, and he stopped here to the founder of our company, who was a wood turner at the time. His name was Henry Tibby, and Henry was a Dutch immigrant from Holland, and asked him, hey, is there a possibility you could make these on your lathe? And Henry said, yeah, I'll give it a try. So he tried it. It was so successful that he quit wood turning altogether and started a brand new business that had never existed before probably in the world. There were altogether around maybe 12 different corncob pipe companies at one time. We were the first and we're the last. For a corncob pipe, you have the bowl itself that's made from corncob, the shank that is made from wood, and then the stem or mouthpiece that's made from a food grade plastic or acrylic. On our higher grade pipes, they're made from acrylic. So you've got the bowl, the shank, and the stem are the main three components, of a corncob pipe. The corn that we use is unique to us. We're the only ones that have it. It is a hybrid. It's not genetically modified. The 4 varieties that go into it are old open pollinated varieties from back in the 1920s and 30s. The University of Missouri actually helped us develop that, way back when. We wanted some that would give us a white cob, some that would give us what we call a red cob. So they helped us develop that and develop a hybrid that would give a nice large diameter. So, and now we're not so concerned about the length of it, but we need a big fat cob. So we'll harvest it, take it to our shelling operation, which is across the river, shell it, sell the grain, and then bring the cobs over here to be stored on the 3rd floor of our building, ideally for a couple years. The very center of the cob is called the pith. That gets drilled out. But then the next part of the cob is called the woody ring. And if you let that dry long enough, it literally is as hard as wood. Then you get to the chaff on the outside. And that, we kind of sand the chaff down and then coat it then with plaster of Paris, to give it a nice, smooth feel to it. Once the cobs are dry enough to use, then they go down chutes from 3rd floor down to 1st floor, and they're cut into sections so to make the pipe bowl.
I get the raw cobs after they're cut on the saw machine in the back. I just knock it on there and I do the shape. And there's some pipes that I'm doing from memory. Other pipes, if I'm trying to get the width, I have a sample right next to me that I just grab. I'll just measure it up to there. If it doesn't match, I'll put it back on if it's too big. If I do them really fast, I can get about 500 done in a day.
After the bowl is formed, then we coat it with plaster of Paris, sand it, coat it with plaster of Paris again, sand it again, and then apply some lacquer to the outside of it. And that does give it some structural rigidity and just makes it look nicer too. So, and then the shank hole has to be drilled, where the part that goes into the side of the bowl, that hole has to be drilled. And then it's ready to be assembled. You're ready to put the shank in and the mouthpiece and all that. And they just glue that in with a glue that's similar to Elmer's glue, and let that dry, and then you've got a pipe. And it sounds like you could make a pipe all in one day. You can't do that. By the time we start with a section of cob and to make a pipe, it takes about 4 days before it's actually ready to go out the door. Corn is unique to the Americas. Corn was developed, hybridized by the Native Americans in Central America, primarily Mexico, and then on into the North United States area. And tobacco was first developed as a plant in the Americas. So corncob pipes are one of those heritage products that goes back so far, in our case, over 150 years. Regardless of what people think about smoking, pipe smoking itself has a long heritage. They think of their grandfather, they think of their uncle, they think of their dad. Just the smell of pipe tobacco will bring back memories for people of their grandfather possibly. You feel like you're part of history. You feel like, you know, you're sharing this product that is basically made exactly the same as it was, you know, 150 years ago, and you feel like you're part of that. You almost can't get more uniquely American and definitely not more uniquely Missouri than a corncob pipe.